This is the only support and resistance video you will ever need. Now, make sure to stick around until the end because I'm going to be giving you a vital piece of information that is significantly going to lead to your success and consistent profitability within the stock market. Now, support and resistance may seem like a basic topic when it comes to trading, yet it is one of the most important. I've been trading for 7 years and I use support and resistance on a daily basis in my trading. Now, a quick note, support and resistance is implemented into my trading strategy as a whole. So what I'm trying to say is I don't use it solely as a standalone strategy on its own, because in my opinion, I think you need a true edge in the market to be a consistently profitable trader. However, without the proper understanding and knowledge of support and resistance, I don't think you'll be a profitable trader either. Now, I want you to think of support as a floor. Price pulls back to that floor and bounces off of it. Now, on the other hand, think of resistance as being a ceiling. Price pushes up to that level, up to that ceiling, and is rejected and comes back down. This resistance above hand is going to act as a barrier, okay? And this support below us, all right, below where we're currently trading, is going to act as a floor. So let's hop inside my chart and I'm going to give you some real life examples to show you exactly what I mean. Now, based on the time frame that you are trading on, there will be different support and resistance levels. If you don't know what a time frame is, when we're looking at a chart, well, what we can see here are called candles. Each candle represents a certain amount of time. For this example, I am currently on the 1 minute time frame, where each candle we can see represents 1 minute of time. And if I go over here to say a 4-hour candle, where each candlestick represents 4 hours of time, there will be visually different areas where we can see a floor, our support level, or we can see a ceiling, our resistance level. Know that based off of the way you go about trading, you will be trading on different time frames. Now, the higher the time frame, okay, the stronger that support or resistance level will be. So daily support and resistance levels formed on a 1 minute time frame, for example, you can see the 1 minute here, are not going to hold as strong as a support or resistance on a higher time frame than say the 4-hour, which we're currently looking at. Now, how do we go about actually marking our support or resistance levels on a chart? Let me show you. So here you can see ticker symbol AAPL, which is Apple. Now, if we look at this chart, I am on the 4-hour time frame, looking back over the past 180 days. This is the time frame that I do all of my trading on. Okay, so any trades I'm taking, I'm looking at this 4-hour, 180-day chart. We can see we have an all-time low and an all-time high. Think of our all-time low as being this big level of support on our chart, whereas that all-time high is going to be that big level of resistance. But when we look at where we're currently trading on Apple, okay, we're trading at $171.10. Now, what we're gonna see is support on a pullback and resistance on a push. So we're gonna be charting out the highs and the lows on this chart, okay? So let's look at the immediate term here, okay? We're looking at the immediate, what I'd call trend. Now, in this immediate trend, we can see, okay, we got this very large push. Price ended up topping out at 182.35. Now this area is going to be our resistance. Now you can see the top of a candle, which is called a wick, is going to represent where this chart has faced an area of resistance. Okay, so this 182.35 is going to act as resistance. And you're probably asking, okay, why didn't you draw a resistance level here? Or say here? Well, that is because we can see price has moved past these areas, okay, 179.70, which was previously acting as resistance. We broke above that area and then traded up to our next previous resistance at 180.83. So now these two levels have been invalidated as resistance, and we've got our new resistance level at 182.35. Now, when it comes to support, and while still looking at the immediate trend here on the 4-hour, well, let's try to identify our support levels. We can see, all right, we had a pullback here. You can see this wick on the 4-hour candle touching this 167.61 area. So we'll go ahead and draw our support level right there. Now you can see we ended up pushing higher, saw another small pullback. There'll be a little support there, okay, at 169.27. And then we saw another push. We're gonna start to see smaller support levels. So when looking at the bigger picture, it is important to be aware of what I call key support and resistance levels. And I'd say our key support levels on this chart are gonna be sitting at 167.61, 169.27, and 169.92. All right, these are the significant pullbacks that we've seen. Now, why am I not drawing support up here? Well, you can see that we have pulled back and we have invalidated any previous support levels. So in the immediate term, looking forward, okay, well, this is gonna be our next area of support that we will approach. If we break this 169.92 area, well then 169.27 is gonna be our next support, followed by 167.61. Now, if we head over to the 1 minute time frame, we can see within the day, we will have faced many smaller minor support and resistance levels. That's why when you're trading a chart and based off of the way you're going about trading your strategy, you just need to be aware of the key support and resistance levels on a larger time frame. So even if you are day trading on a 1 minute, it is still more helpful than not to know about a key area of support or resistance on, say, the 4-hour or the daily time frame. Now, on a 1 minute time frame, we can go about charting out our resistance. So we had what I'd call our daily resistance level here, okay? At this, looks just to be about 173.07 area. You can see off the open, we ended up pulling back a bit and then started forming higher highs, pushing up to 173.07, forming resistance. Now, throughout this trading day, we wanted to keep an eye and be aware of this overhead resistance level. But it looks like the market did end up pulling back and we started selling off. Okay, seeing lower lows throughout the day, and then we ended up closing the day. Well, our daily low would have been sitting here, okay, at 170.65. The lowest price that Apple traded on the day is our support, and the highest price that Apple traded on the day was our resistance. That's what a daily support or resistance area is. So far, we've gone over what is a support level, what is a resistance level. We've talked about time frames, and we've talked about actually marking our chart at where these support and resistance levels are. How to go about identifying either a support or a resistance level, which we will continue working on. But I wanted to talk about the fact that the more tests of that either support or resistance area, that is going to further validate that level on the chart. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay, so on CPT, I'm looking back in June, but just for an example here, you can see we ended up hitting an area of resistance, okay, at 114.04. We pulled back and then we ended up testing this 114.04 area of resistance again, and then we were rejected and then continued selling off. So that just means we had two tests of this resistance level, and each time we test either a support or a resistance, it is going to further validate how strong that area is going to be or is going to act. So when it comes to my trading, I'm setting my trade plan based around a support or a resistance area. So I'm figuring out where that support is and where that resistance is, and based off whether I am long on a chart, which means I'm betting on that stock to go up, or based off of whether I am short on a chart, which means I'm betting on that stock to go down, well, then that support or resistance level is going to be the area at which, if broken, I will either be getting out of my trade for a win or getting out of my trade for a loss. And like I said, I'll give you some live examples of this later on, but let me show you a couple more charts where we have seen multiple tests of either a support or resistance level. Now, here is another example where we can see a low, an all-time low at 174.06. Again, we're on the 4-hour time frame looking back over the last 180 days. And then you can see we pushed off this area, okay, found some resistance, ended up pulling back, forming lower lows, and then you could see price pulled back, and we had another test of this same area at 174.06, and then we got a nice bounce off that level. So you can see tested, and then we ended up testing again. We found our floor, we moved off that level, and then this chart even tried a third time, but couldn't end up breaking this all-time low. Okay, so 3 tests of the support level, further confirmation that this level will hold. You can see on ORCL, okay, today's session, yesterday's session, and the day before, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now during Monday's session, we can see we formed a daily high here at 104.69. And then during Tuesday morning's pre-market session, ORCL did try to push, but was rejected at that previous day's high or our resistance. And then you can see price ended up pulling back off of that level and then selling off further. So we've got 2 tests of that resistance level. Now, if you're doing your trading on a 15-minute time frame, well, great. We've just identified some very strong resistance on the 15-minute. Now, if you were to go and short this chart, well, let's just say that 104.69 area could be the place at which you put your stop loss. Okay, that is when you're going to be wrong if 104.69 resistance was to be broken. But knowing that there's 2 tests of this level, I feel pretty good knowing that that level will indeed hold. And then we would end up hitting our take profit wherever that would be. And in this case, it would be identifying our next support level that we can play that move down to. Now, at this point, I feel like you should have a pretty good understanding on not only what support and resistance is, but how to go about identifying those levels on a chart on whatever time frame that you may be trading. So now I want to give you a brief overview of how I implement support and resistance into my strategy as a whole. But first, I wanted to interrupt to talk about my mentorship group and the education that I offer for traders out there like you looking to learn how to become consistently profitable in the market. So I captured my 7 years of trading knowledge and put that into a curriculum of educational videos. I cover everything in this curriculum from charting and technical analysis to risk management and trading psychology. I will equip you with this curriculum along with giving you access to a private Discord server. Now, in that Discord server, I am actively available as a coach and a mentor. I have made it my goal to give you the best chance at becoming a successful trader by putting myself on the line. Now, what do I mean by that? Every time I go about entering a trade myself in the market, I post the exact entry, what stock I'm trading. I explain why I'm actually putting on that position, whether my bias is long or short, what I see on the chart from a technical perspective, and then I post the exact contracts in which I'm buying because I trade options. So that gives my students the ability to essentially mirror or copy my exact trades. And then when it comes to getting out of that position, whether I'm hitting my stop loss or my take profit, I post that exit. So it is essentially like having the ability to sit over my shoulder and be able to take the same trades that I'm taking in the market. Now, there's a lot more that is included in my mentorship group. So what I'm going to do is put the link in the description below. Now, all you have to do is click that link, head over to my website, and then click the Apply Now button. So unfortunately, it is application only to join. So make sure to fill out all of your information and you will be instructed on next details. So if you are accepted, I look forward to working with you. But with that said, let's continue on with the video. Now, this example I'm pulling from over inside my mentorship group Discord server within the trading callout section. Again, this is where I'm posting my personal entries and exits whenever I'm taking a trade in the market. So ticker symbol DG. Here is my explanation behind putting on the trade itself. And here are the option contracts that I went about purchasing. Now let's pull up this screenshot of the chart at the time of entry so I can explain to you why I took this trade. So essentially what I did was I identified first the trend, okay? You can see this chart is moving from top left to bottom right. We have a bearish trend in play. So overall direction is headed to the downside where we can see these very clear lower lows and lower highs being formed. You can see these lines here. These are what are called moving averages. Now, I'm not gonna reference those today. I'm just gonna be talking about the actual support and resistance that was identified on the chart here at, you can see this area of 107.89 and then 101.69. So 101.69 is going to be our support level. I'm gonna look to play a continuation of this trend and of this pattern down into that all-time low. Like I mentioned, a lot of my trading happens around an all-time high or an all-time low on a chart. So what I did was enter this position with the intention of playing a move or shorting down to this support level. So that's what I want to happen, right? I want DG to pull back to this support at 101.69. But we always have to be prepared to be wrong. So where am I going to be wrong? Well, when looking at this chart and identifying the resistance level above head, you can see 107.89 was acting as our next clear resistance overhead. We had a couple tests a week prior of this resistance level, and you could see we had continuously been rejected. And if we did break above that 107.89 area, we broke above resistance, that is where I would be wrong. But you can see we did have a couple tests of that level, so I was even more sure that it would hold. So we had about a 3% margin for profit presented on the chart itself. And then when it came to this position that I was entering, there was a 15% potential for profit behind the option contracts, which I purchased. So I entered on the 10th. Now, 2 days later, we ended up getting that expected move that I was looking for on DG. So if I pull up the chart, you can see here, DG was down 1.75%. Upon exit, we pulled back to that all-time low at 101.69. And if I blow that up for you, you can see we ended up hitting our support level or my take profit. And if we go over to the 1 minute time frame, again, this was a screenshot at time of entry, we got a perfect tap of our support, our take profit. And at that point, I went ahead, I closed this position, I sent this trade out to the mentorship group, and myself and my students locked in 15.43% return. And I just want to show you real quick, if you didn't believe me, this is in my trade journal. We've got my net P&L of $2,539. So this was a conservative trade. I only had 16,000 in size, ended up making $2,500 off of this position. And then on my broker, you can see my order fill, okay? These 12 contracts got executed, bought them at $1,380 per contract, $1,380 if you do not know options, and then sold those 12 contracts for $1,593. As promised in the beginning, I said I would give you a vital piece of information to help you become a consistently profitable trader. And if you didn't pick up on it, throughout this video, many times I've referenced risk management. Now, without understanding how to properly manage risk, you will not be a consistently profitable trader. You can understand every single type of charting and technical analysis there is out there to learn, but without being able to set up proper levels on your chart using support and resistance, and then determine whether those levels are going to yield a risk to reward that is within your favor. And when I say within your favor, over time, based off of your win rate, will you result in a profit? or will you make money, give it back, make money, give it back? Now, I have several videos on the topic of risk management, which I will link in the description below to hopefully help you out. Now, if you felt like you did take away any value from this video, it is up to you whether you want to subscribe or not to the channel. We post 2 videos a week, teaching you how to trade in the stock market and giving you insight to what it is like being a full-time day trader. Now, again, the first link in the description below is going to take you over to my mentorship group, where then you will have the ability to apply. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.